at a certain point, even when the strategy is working really well, you might feel like you've kind of hit a block energetically. Like you're putting in more time, you're putting in more hours, you're putting in more effort, but it's not giving you more of a benefit. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new around here, welcome. I'm Amy from Rebelle Nutrition. I am an online course creator and 7-figure business owner. And today I'm gonna be talking about one of my favorite topics, money. So we're gonna be talking all about manifestation and how I started manifesting 100K months from the beginning of this year, which is 2021 is the first month that I started consistently hitting 6 figures. And I really think this is an interesting topic. I love being transparent around the topic of money because I think when people are honest about how much they're making, how they did it, I really think it helps benefit everyone and it helps everybody make more money. So that's why I like to talk about this. This is why I do income reports on my Instagram all the time. So you guys can see actually exactly how much I'm making, how I do it. For those of you who are new around here, I create online courses. So that's the main way that I am making that much money. So that's the thing with manifestation videos. I feel like a lot of times it's really good in terms of like the energetics and helping you raise your vibration, which is all what we're going to be talking about today. But something comes before that, which is the strategy. Like if you don't have the strategy or the method of how you're going to be making that money in the first place, yeah, you can raise your vibe and like feel amazing all the time, but if you don't have a method to which you are making that money, you know, nobody's just going to like deposit 100K into your bank account every single month just because you are a high vibe person, you know? So I think having the strategy in place first, which again, I teach online courses, but it could really be anything. So I think setting up a system or a strategy that allows you to make money in the first place. So whether that's an online course or maybe you see clients or even like monetizing a YouTube channel, having some method in place first is really key. And then once you have that in place, then it really makes sense to focus on the manifestation side of things because you'll probably totally understand what I mean if you're watching this, but at a certain point, even when the strategy is working really well, you might feel like you've kind of hit a block energetically. Like you're putting in more time, you're putting in more hours, you're putting in more effort, but it's not giving you more of a benefit. And I think once you get to that point, for me, that was like around 30K months. I was like, everything I had done up to that point was like working really well. And obviously I was stoked about hitting 30K months, but I just couldn't break past that barrier. And so even though I had set this goal in my mind for 100K months, it wasn't happening. And honestly, I had that goal for like 2 years before it actually happened. So I'm gonna really break down what actually changed because it really wasn't so much the strategy, it was more me, my energy, my mindset. And these are all things that you guys can implement in your own businesses. And honestly, I hope they work just as well, if not better for you than they worked for me. So number one, when you have an income goal you want to hit, for me, it was 100K months. Set the goal, okay, obviously, right? So you want to be really specific with the amount that you want to call in. For me, it was 100K months, but what was the difference between when I initially set that goal, which was like 2 years ago, versus the beginning of this year when it was like, snap, all of a sudden it started happening and it started happening every single month? I honestly think the main difference was that I let go of my attachment to hitting that goal. So you're gonna set the goal, but then you're gonna release any attachment to it. So set the goal, think about it all the time. Think about, and I'm gonna get into more strategies of like actually how to match the vibration of that number in just a second, but think about that goal all the time. Write it down. I have a vision board on the side of my bed that said, right now it says 200K months, but at the beginning of the year it said 100K months. And I looked at that vision board every night before I went to bed, and not just looked at it, but I would look at it and I would feel the excitement in my body of what it would feel like to be making that much right before I went to sleep, and then I would do the exact same thing again right when I woke up in the morning. And this is really, really important because your subconscious mind is the strongest right when you're about to go to sleep and right when you wake up in the morning. So when you're seeing those numbers and you're feeling those feelings right before you kind of get into that theta, I think it's theta brainwave, I could be wrong, state, it's programming your subconscious mind to hit that goal. Our subconscious mind is working in the background like all the time. Even when we're not thinking about whatever goal it is that we're trying to hit, it's still working. So priming your mind to kind of be thinking about that in the background all the time is one of the key ways to hit your financial goals. And one more thing I will say about releasing the attachment to the goal is a lot of times if you're like me and you've experienced really not having enough money at certain times in your life, there's a lot of fear attached to any sort of goal. Like back when I wasn't hitting 100K months, but that was my goal, there was a lot of fear attached to it of like, oh my gosh, what if I don't hit that number? Like, what is that gonna mean for me? Am I gonna have to move back into the hut that I lived in and start budgeting like crazy and like have to work another job again? So if you can really focus on the things that you do have in that moment. So if you have enough money to buy groceries, if you have a roof over your head, if you can pay your electric bill, like even if maybe you don't have a lot of expendable income at the moment, if you can really focus on the things that you do have and kind of try and crowd out that feeling of fear of not having enough, because whenever you are trying to manifest or accomplish something from this place of fear, those two things just do not match each other. You're never going to hit 100K months if you're like scared about living in poverty or you're scared of what's gonna happen if you don't hit that number. So as much as you can really focus on the good, focus on what you do have right now, it's going to attract more and more and more of that. So number 2, I kind of already mentioned this, so I'll just go over it briefly, but visually see your goal somewhere. So for me, I created a vision board so that I could visually see it on my wall before I went to bed, but you could also put this on like your phone background. I created a little Canva template that you can upload as your phone wallpaper. I will link it below, but you can put like whatever your goal is on there. Maybe you have it as a background on your computer, but you just want to be seeing that number all the time because again, it's priming your subconscious mind to hit that number. Number 3 is visualization. Visualization is so powerful. And I know that some people say that scripting or like writing things down that haven't happened yet, that's one of the tips you'll get from a lot of like law of attraction or manifestation videos is like, I am so happy I am making 100K a month. I think that works for some people, but I am a really visual person and that just didn't evoke the feeling for me as much as visualization does. So one of my biggest tips would be start to visualize, like take a couple of seconds, even less than a minute a day to really visualize and feel what it would feel like if you were already hitting that number. So when I was doing this, I was thinking like, what would I feel like if I was already making 100K a month? What types of things would I be doing? Like, how would I be spending my day? How would I be approaching my Instagram account? How would I be approaching my YouTube content strategy? I mean, I'd probably be taking it pretty seriously. Obviously, you have to be doing something to be making that amount, right? So it kind of just shifted the way that I viewed my work. I also started to think about like, how would I show up in my life? Like, would I do my hair? Would I do my makeup? Would I dress nicely? Of course, I say that as I'm in sweats, but you get the point. Most of the time, I try and look somewhat put together because it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm an abundant queen when I look good and when I have a nice outfit on. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go out and like spend a bunch of money that you don't have, but how would you be treating yourself if you were already making that amount of money? And again, this is why visualization is so great because again, like maybe when you're actually making 100K a month, you're gonna go out and like buy a Chanel bag to celebrate. Well, with visualization, you don't necessarily have to do that yet. You can, in your mind, go to the Chanel store and buy the bag you want and still feel those exact same feelings, which is going to have the same magnetic effect on manifesting the number that you want as actually going to the Chanel store and buying the bag would have. So it's like, you're basically living in a simulation. You don't even have to go out and spend that money if you don't have it, if you don't want to. Just imagine what that would be like, and it's going to be equally as powerful. Number 4 is to actually start investing more into yourself than you feel comfortable with. Now, hear me out on this. This does not mean going out and blowing every last penny that you have and blowing all of your savings, but it simply means continuously stretching your level of comfortability of what you will spend on yourself. If you're somebody like I was, who was very kind of stingy with money and like really a hardcore budgeter and never wanted to spend anything, money is energy. And you'll notice the more that you start spending, the more that you'll start making. So I really feel like there's a correlation for me I've invested more in myself this year than I ever have before, and it's resulted in much higher income months than I've ever had before. And what I mean by that is, for those of you who don't know, I've had a lot of back pain issues this whole year. So starting in January, I started spending so much more money on myself and on things that felt really good to me, which in turn raised my vibration, made me feel really good about myself, made me just feel like I was my own sugar daddy, like just spoiling myself. I was like going to get a massage every week. I was getting acupuncture every week. I was going to the chiropractor. I was getting facials. I mean, for you need to like take into account what actually makes sense for you financially. Again, I'm not saying go blow all of your money, but maybe this means taking a nap in the afternoon rather than like pushing through something, or really asking yourself like, what does my body need today? What would feel good to me? What food would taste really good to me? Just like small things like that can really affect your vibration. And your vibration, again, money is energy. You literally are a vibrational match to what you're calling into your life in terms of finances right now. So if you're thinking about the fact, like the example that I gave before when I was kind of capped at 30K months, I was hustling, I was struggling. I kept telling myself like, you know, I'm gonna do all of these nice things for myself, like go to acupuncture and get massages every week. I'm gonna do that once I hit 100K months. And then at the beginning of this year, even before I hit the 100K month, I was like, I have to do these nice things for myself because I feel like crap if I don't. My back hurts and I need to feel better. This is more, I think I finally realized that like the way that I feel is actually more important than anything else. And so once I prioritized that, the money followed. So if you can think about it that way and realize that it truly makes such a big difference to put yourself first, and that feeling good is everything. The way that you feel is the currency of your business. Like that's how you are going to make money. It's how you're going to hit your next up level. It's how you're going to attract the clients. It's how you're going to make more sales. Taking a quick break from this video to tell you guys how I've been making 6 figures a month since the beginning of this year online. And I know that sounds crazy, and no, I'm not super tech savvy. I'm not a huge influencer, and I know absolutely nothing about cryptocurrency. I simply turned my passion for wellness into an online course that sells passively and helps hundreds of women every single day. In my free masterclass, I'll be sharing how you can turn your passion into a passive online course business, and my step-by-step method for getting started with your own online course, even if you're like, WTF, would I even teach? To join the free masterclass, click the first link in the description box right below this video. Don't forget, it's free, and I'll see you there. Okay, back to the video. Okay, number 5 is the law of compensation. So we've all heard of law of attraction before, which is basically like you attract what you are, right? So if you have good vibes, you're going to attract good things into your life. The law of compensation is a lot more realistic. It's basically saying like the amount of energy and the amount of value you put into the world is exactly how much you are going to be compensated. So another way to look at that is, you know, if you aren't really putting any value out into the world, if you're never creating social media content, you're not creating videos, you're not blogging, you're kind of just sitting around, maybe you're engaging with some accounts on Instagram, but you're never creating or producing anything that's valuable, you're never going to be, or not, I shouldn't say never, but you're only going to be making the amount of money that is compensatory to that level of value, if that makes sense. So another way to look at this, at the beginning of this year, I started creating reels. I started posting Instagram reels about 5 to 6 times a week. Not for any other reason than I just thought that they were really fun. I really felt like, oh my gosh, this is such a fun short form way that I can really thrive and teach my audience Instagram tips, Canva tips, money making tips. And I started doing them 6 days a week. And not only did it grow my audience by like 100,000 people in less than a year, but I also feel like that was a huge reason why my sales grew to the extent that they did, because I was giving away so much more value than I had been before every single day. And I was giving value from a place of like just joy and fun, and like every morning I would wake up and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like what is something I can share in this fun short form video? So again, as long as you have the strategy in place of like how you're going to monetize in the first place, maybe that's online courses, maybe that's a product that you sell, maybe it's clients that you see. If you can then start focusing on being of service, how can you give those people more and more and more value? You'll notice that the amount that you're compensated and the amount of money that you make is going to be directly correlated to that value. Okay, number 6, and I kind of mentioned this briefly before, but do something that feels good every single day. When you wake up in the morning, instead of opening your phone first thing, literally ask yourself, what would feel good to me today? What would be fun? Literally, like, fun is so overrated. I'm thinking about to myself even a year ago, and I was like so dull. I didn't do anything fun. Honestly, because I was so focused on just work, and it wasn't getting me anywhere at that point. So once you focus on the things that actually feel good, what brings you joy? What are things that are fun that you haven't allowed yourself to do in however many months because you're an adult now and you feel like you should be working? Like, bring something fun into your day every single day, because again, the way that you feel is everything. It's going to be so magnetic and attractive to the right people that they will literally want to pay you and they will want to work with you because they will notice the joy and the energy that you're radiating. And again, sometimes this can be as simple as like having a little dance party in your office, which is something I do a lot. Or it could be like going out and treating yourself to a new YSL bag, or whatever it is, whatever makes sense to you. Don't let other people's judgments about how you spend your money affect what makes you feel good. You know, like just because somebody else thinks it's frivolous to buy, you know, a nice shirt or a nice outfit, if it brings you joy, that's all that matters. And again, there's lots of ways that you can feel joy and feel good without spending money, but you can totally just think about whatever that is for you. Okay, the next one, I honestly can't even remember what number we're at yet. Pay attention to the way that you feel when you are spending money, specifically on things that you don't really like to spend money on. So to give you an example, like your electric bill or paying for your rent, things that aren't necessarily fun to spend money on. If you can really be aware of how you feel in those instances and change your feeling of, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm paying this much, or I can't believe they charge this much, or whatever, to, oh my gosh, I am so grateful that I can afford to live where I live, to afford to pay the heating bill or electric or whatever it is. It completely changes the way that you feel. Something I also completely have changed recently is I've outsourced a lot more things in my life and my business, including not only do I have a full-time assistant now, but I also have a housekeeper. I also pay for things like grocery delivery. I pay to have my laundry done. And again, I feel so grateful to be able to pay for those things, and I feel so grateful to the people that are providing these services for me, because it allows me to have more energy to either work on my business or to do things that are just fun. It really frees up so much time for me, and I feel that same immense amount of joy when I am paying them, that I want them to be abundant too, and I'm so grateful to them for providing this service. So again, if you can really change your mindset and your perspective of like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm paying this bill again, to, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I mean, I don't know, that's kind of exaggerating. Like, you're not gonna be like maybe super excited to pay your electric bill, but if you can just change it to a place of gratitude, it's really going to make a huge, huge difference. Okay, the next one is to check your bank accounts frequently. So I don't know if there's anybody out there who is like I used to be, but back when I was in debt and starting my business, living as a minimalist, I hated looking at my checking and savings accounts because I just felt like the number kept getting smaller and smaller. And I also hate to look at my credit card bill because it kept getting bigger and bigger, and it just caused me so much fear. And I never really knew like what was going on with my finances. But honestly, start looking at your accounts, start looking at your finances every single day, because it's going to, whether it is uncomfortable at first to see those numbers, it's really going to provoke some action from you if you are looking at that every day and you're realizing like, oh, this is not how I thought it was going. Or maybe the opposite is true and you're like, wow, you know, I actually have a lot more money in here than I thought, and like maybe I can start reinvesting in some things or investing in the stock market or like whatever it is, saving more, saving for a house, whatever it is, but become BFFs with your money. I swear it is a huge game changer. And I know that one's not as like manifestation-y, but it is killer in changing your mindset around your money. And I feel like being empowered with your money is one of the most underrated manifestation hacks there is. Like, you have to know what's going in and what's going out in order to start hitting your financial goals. Okay, last but not least, and you guys will have to let me know in the comments if you like money videos like this, if you want more manifestation tips, if you want more money hacks, if you want more revenue reports, income reports, things like that. Tell me whatever you're interested in. You can literally ask me any personal money question that you have, and I will answer it, because I really want other people to feel like they can do exactly what I've done. Okay, so lastly, start to think about the ways in which you are settling in your life. Whether it has to do with money or not, I feel like this is huge. And what I realized, even though I've deconditioned so many of these beliefs, there's still a lot of ways that like we are just taught to settle. Like, we're just taught to settle for things that are okay, but not necessarily like the exact thing that we want. So I'll give you a little bit of an example. So the first couple of months this year, when I had consistently hit 100K months, then I started to panic a little bit, because when you make a lot of money, you also have to pay a lot in taxes, specifically when you live in California. By the end of this year, I will have probably paid $400,000 in taxes, which is a lot. So after the first couple months of this year, I started to like spiral and think like, oh my God, how can I legally like spend less in taxes? And I was thinking like, oh, well, maybe I should move. Maybe I should move away from California to one of the states that doesn't have income tax, because then that would be saving me a lot. Or, you know, all of these ideas kept coming up. I even traveled to Austin, Texas to like see what it was like there, because I was like, I could save so much money if I moved to Austin, Texas. But then when I really thought about it, I was like, I don't want to live in Austin, Texas. I love California. I am such a California girl. I love the sun. I love the beach. I love everything that there is to do here. I love the sceniness. I love the vegan restaurants. I mean, California is 150% my vibe, and the only reason I would move anywhere else would be because I was settling. Because I am telling myself like, oh, you shouldn't be spending that much, or you should definitely settle for less. When I'm like, no, if I could just change my mindset, I could literally have everything I ever wanted. That's the mindset that I want you to have too, okay? In a perfect world, when you have everything you could ever want, would you move states just to save money? Would you really buy that house? Or are you only buying that house because you feel like you should buy a house right now, or that's all that you can afford? Whereas you could just like rent a place a little bit longer and wait and save up for the house that you really, really want, that's perfect for you. So I know that this is kind of like off on a tangent a little bit, but I really feel like there's so many ways that we settle, and also there's so many ways that we tell ourselves that something is not going to be possible for us. I think that's a huge piece too with hitting 100K months. Like, you have to fully 100% believe that something is possible for you in order for you to achieve it. And I think that's another reason why the first couple of years where I had that 100K goal and put it up on such a pedestal, I wasn't hitting it, is because I didn't actually believe that I could make that much. It seemed so unbelievable to me to make 6 figures in a month. Even though it sounded cool, it did not seem real or even possible for me. So if that's you right now, think about a number. Think about an amount that maybe feels a little bit scary, but still feels 100% doable. And honestly, you guys, when I started my business, this number was $2,000 a month. That was my initial goal, because that's about what I was making at my serving job. So I was like, if I could just make $2,000 a month from my business, I would be really happy with that. It seemed scary because I was like, I don't know where these sales are going to come from, but it still seemed doable. It still was only like maybe 4 online course sales a month, and I was like, I don't know where these sales are going to come from, but it still seems doable. So pick a number for you that feels doable, and you can always scale up and scale up from there. As you prove to yourself that you can hit those higher and higher numbers, it's going to feel more and more doable for you. And it was only then when I actually was like, you know what, I really believe that I could hit 100K in a month, then I did it like that. So the final tidbit that I will leave you guys with, maybe just a question to ask yourself or a mindset shift to take with you, hopefully for the rest of time, is just like, why not you? Why can't you have every single thing that you've ever wanted exactly how you want it? Why not? You've seen other people do or achieve or have or accomplish the things that you have dreamed of, right? Like whatever it is, maybe you want to like own a yacht one day, or I don't know, make 6 figures a month, or work for yourself, or just have complete time freedom. You've seen other people who have done that, which means that it's possible for you. So why not you? Okay, you guys, I hope this video was helpful. If you like this manifestation money topic, definitely let me know. Give this video a thumbs up, and please subscribe. It means so much to me. Share this video with somebody who you think might benefit from it. And I will see you guys next week. Talk to you soon. Bye.